Oh, hello there, I'm Suze and I'm making some videos that explore some of the really important things happening in the economy today. And in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things you need to know about the Iranian coup. Now, you might want to know why I'm making a video about the Iranian coup. I'm British and Britain was involved in this coup. And many British people know nothing about it at all. And that's partly because actually information about this coup was kept very much on the down low. And when I say kept on the down low, I mean the CIA didn't release any documents about it until 2013. So if you've got no idea what it was, in short, this was when the 2 great democracies of the UK and the US worked together to help overthrow another democracy in Iran. Now, there are many repercussions from this event. I'm not an expert in all of them. I'm going to be focusing on the role of a private British company actually in this coup, and also some questions that relate to British democracy today. So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're not just going to talk about it, I'm actually going to take you on a walking tour, and I'm going to take you to 3 places, or close to 3 places, that relate to the Iranian coup. And you may have deduced I'm actually not in Iran, I'm in London. The tour is really around Westminster. So the first thing I want to talk about is what the Iranian coup was. And it was in the 1950s. And our leader was Winston Churchill, the statue of him just there. And I'm going to go around the corner and show you where Churchill's war rooms were. So I'm just outside Churchill's war rooms. And you might also be able to see a big statue. That's of Clive of the East India Company. I haven't got time to get into that in this video, but something else we could talk about another time. So these war rooms are where Churchill directed a lot of activities for World War II. But in this video I'm going to be talking about another piece of foreign policy that Churchill did, which a lot of people don't know about. And to talk about this, we're going to have to go back in time to the 1950s. So let's go. Let's just go somewhere a bit quieter because lots of people around. As you also might be able to see, there's a special event happening. A lot of the roads closed off and lots of police around. I did ask a policeman what was happening, and he said there were 2 things. One is a rehearsal for the Queen's Jubilee, and the second is something that he couldn't remember, but for someone else. But he said he's from South East London, doesn't really know, so I thought, respect that. Also, there's a little cottage here with some vegetables, so I'm going to show you this. Cute. So I don't know if you can see there, I walked past this lovely cottage and actually the gate to the garden was open. So I went in and thought I'd found an amazing spot to film this video from. But then I got escorted off the cottage grounds by some police. So if you are wondering what that little cottage is, it's called Duck Island Cottage and it's in St James's Park, and it's been home to many different things: park rangers, the Ornithological Society, which is Society for Birds. But it wasn't to be home for me for this video, or us really, but there it is. And it's probably not that relevant for this video, but it did make me think actually that in school in Britain, I actually learnt more about birds than I did about British foreign policy. But anyway, let's go back to the main topic of the video, which is this particular aspect of British foreign policy, which is Iran in the 1950s. And in 1951, Iran elected its 35th Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh. Now, lots of people that have looked at what Mohammad Mossadegh did have been really impressed. So, for example, Nicolas Gorjestani, who's an American Iranian economist who's actually worked for the World Bank, and Nicolas Gorjestani argues that arguably you could argue that this was a period of time when Iran enjoyed more democratic freedoms than at any other time period in history. So how did the UK and the US support this new democracy in Iran? I've already kind of said they worked together to help overthrow it, which might seem strange, but we have to learn something about a British private company. So I'd like to take you across St James's Park. We're going to walk past lots of birds, and I'd like to take you to the square, St James's Square. So yeah, let's go there next. We'll talk about the second thing I think you need to know. So the next place I wanted to take you was St James's Square, but it is actually locked. But anyway, there it is. You can kind of see it. Can you? But actually this is a private square, but I thought it was open to the public during the daytime, and it is during the week, but I was there at the weekends. But anyway, it's not really the square or the grass or the trees I want to talk to you about. It's actually some companies based in this square. Now, if you look around, you'll see there are lots of very important organisations that have been based here for a long time, actually. In fact, that very impressive looking building is the East India Club. Now, the East India Club, as you might have guessed, has got something to do with the East India Company. And I wasn't really going to talk about them in this video, but I will just say we also already saw a statue of Clive, who worked for this company. So the East India Company was a private company that had its own private army and actually collected taxes in some parts of India. Now, there's quite a lot more to say about the East India Company. For this video, all I'll just say is that that building used to be a gentleman's club for people that worked there. I mean, I say it used to be, it is actually still there, isn't it, in some form. But it's another company I want to talk about in this video, a company that was more involved in the Iranian coup. Now, so far I've called it the Iranian coup, but perhaps we should call it the Anglo-Iranian coup, because Britain was very involved, and it was actually because of a company, a British company, called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard of the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. You've probably heard of the company they went on to become, which is based in this square, and that is British Petroleum, who are now, as I understand it, known as BP. Now, from their website, what I gather is they're now called BP because they're not really involved in petroleum or oil anymore. Their website gives the impression the main thing they do is renewables and save the planet. Now, I still think of them as an oil company, but I could be wrong because I've seen their garages all around. I think you need petroleum for petrol, but maybe I've got confused. In the 1950s, it was a lot clearer. They definitely were an oil company, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. So the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, the Anglo bit is the British bit, which is where the profits went back to. The Iranian bit is where the oil came from. Now, this wasn't a great deal actually for the people of Iran, and this company was massively profitable. And Daniel Yergen's written this incredible book about oil, and in it he gives some statistics. So he actually says it was so profitable that actually the UK government got more in taxes than Iran did in royalties on their own oil concessions. So when Mohammad Mossadegh came to power, his plan was to nationalise the oil industry. Now, he wasn't just taking back oil concessions from the British, he was compensating the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. But the British wanted more than that. They wanted to maintain all the profits and full control over operations. So here there was a bit of a conflict. So both countries appealed for help to the US, but the US did in the end decide to side with Britain, and the CIA and MI6 helped to overthrow Mohammad Mossadegh in this coup. Now, there's so much more to say about the Iranian coup, so many huge repercussions from this event on today. And I hope the people that know more about this than I do feel I've reflected this well enough. I'm just giving very broad brushstrokes here. And the thing that I just want to flag up here is that this is a really big question in economics that I think applies to today, which is that during the time of the Iranian coup, a British company, the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, was sitting in London making decisions about resources on the other side of the world. And this has happened quite a lot, actually, I'd say, from the days of the East India Company to the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company to oil companies like BP today. Oh, sorry, I forgot, BP isn't an oil company anymore. It does also, to be honest, apply to lots of other minerals as well. And actually, even for renewables, we need lots of metals and commodities to make the infrastructure. And actually, just one other example on this square is an extraction company called Rio Tinto. It's really time to move on from this square. So I'd invite you to walk with me, sit with me really, but metaphorically walk back through the park to where I started the video. There's a lot happening in the park, so let's have a little look at that. Oh, there's some horses over there. I'm going to see if I can show you them. I don't think they're... So I was hoping to show you all those horses, massive troop of horses with military guard all in uniform. I was trying to show you them, but I missed them. So when I walked back through the park, there was this huge military display, loads of soldiers on horseback. I did manage to totally miss that, but I did catch two horses. I mean, I say I caught them, they were standing completely still. But anyway, there they are. Oops. So I wanted to end this video at, or very close to, the Houses of Parliament, which is really seen as the seat of our democracy. And the last thing I want to tell you about the Iranian coup really is that the Iranian coup happened. I've already said that, but I think it's just worth repeating that the UK and the US helped overthrow democracy in Iran. And really this walking tour has kind of been a walking tour of democracy. So I've walked you past lots of institutions of our state. Now, I don't know if you noticed them all, I didn't point them all out, but I walked past some civil service buildings. So for example, Her Majesty's Treasury was by the Cabinet War Office. And the Treasury funds everything from war and MI6 through to things like the health service. I've also walked past lots of police. I did ask if the police officers who escorted me out of those little gardens wanted to be in my video, but they very much didn't, so I tried not to film them. I did try quite hard to film the army, didn't quite manage it, but they are there somewhere in the distance, the far distance, out of shot. And of course the Houses of Parliament. I always thought these institutions were supposed to represent people, but in this example they represented a private company, the Anglo-Iranian oil company. Now you could argue this company represented British interests. I think it's a very mixed picture. I'm honestly not sure. It's definitely the case they got British people oil, and it's definitely the case that they got tax revenue to fund things to do with our state. But today, if we look beyond just oil companies, but energy companies in general, it's very questionable how much of a good job they are doing for British people, because many British people can't currently afford to heat their homes. Now, my intention in making this video is just to question really if our democracy perhaps could work a bit better for people here in ways that don't harm people in other countries around the world. And that's just an idea, question that I can't really answer. I mean, I could try, but I've tried quite hard already to do the walking tour. I think I've done enough. Take you back to the Houses of Parliament, or close to the Houses of Parliament, and leave you there. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, I'm just sitting here. But anyway, it's enough of the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you later. Bye.
Yes, so that's my story. I've changed, and change is possible. Hallelujah.
Oh, what a terrible noise.